everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be jumping in to the new products that were recently launched in the Halo line from e.l.f. Cosmetics. These are called the Halo Glow Beauty Wands. They have a contour, blush, and highlighter in this line, and I could not wait to get my hands on these. And I've heard so many people say they are dupes for Charlotte Tilbury and the new ones from Tarte. So I went ahead and grabbed 2 shades of the contour, 2 shades from the blush, and 2 shades from the highlighter, and we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna test them out, see how they wear. I'm also testing out a new foundation and concealer, which is the reason why my skin looks a little shiny on camera. When this foundation, I didn't want to apply a bunch of powder over top of it, and these lights are really reflecting, so I'm sorry if that's distracting, but I wanted to test the foundation, which is the new Terracotta Guerlain foundation. If you want to see that review, it's already up on my channel. I will link it up in the cards. We're going to get into it. I personally love the brand e.l.f. I feel like they're a really nice, affordable brand with really good products. In fact, I fell madly in love with the Halo Glow liquid filter. And oftentimes I use it over the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless filter. So e.l.f. has done a really good job at providing a really good product at a very affordable price. And so when I saw they were launching these, of course I couldn't wait to get my hands on them. So we're going to start with the contour product. I bought the shades light medium, and then I also bought medium tan. And in the video, I use medium tan. Light medium is a little too light. So these retail for $9 each, and they come in 5 different shades. So they are being described as a liquid contour wand with a cushion tip applicator for a naturally sculpted complexion. It's easy to use, gives you a radiant, naturally sculpted complexion, liquid buildable contour formula that effortlessly blends into the skin. It's infused with skin-loving 2% squalane, and they also have 0.33 fluid ounces, which is 10 milliliters. So even though these are quite small, you get 10 milliliters in each. Let's go ahead and jump into the beauty blush wands. So these also retail for $9, and they come in 4 shades. Now the 2 shades that I will be featuring in today's video is Candlelit and Magic Hour. They're being described as a glowy liquid blush wand with a cushion tip applicator to give cheeks a pop of radiant color. It's an easy to use blush wand, gives you a flushed, luminous complexion, liquid buildable blush formula that effortlessly blends into the skin. And it's also infused in 2% squalane. So that's the details on those. And then finally, we have the highlighter wands. These also retail for $9, and they come in 3 different shade options. Now, the 2 shades that I have in the highlighter formula is Champagne Campaign and Liquid Gold. It is a liquid highlighter wand with a cushion tip applicator to give your complexion a luminous glow. It gives a radiant lit from within glow, liquid buildable highlighting formula that effortlessly blends into the skin. It's also infused with 2% squalane. They also contain 0.33 fluid ounces, which is 10 milliliters. So that's pretty much the details on these. Let's go ahead and jump into the application. I'm going to apply the contour, the blush, and the highlighter wands on camera on both sides of the cheeks, kind of blend them out, sharing my thoughts on them. Then we're going to go ahead and jump into the swatches, and I'm going to swatch and compare these next to other products out on the market, such as the ones from Charlotte Tilbury and Tarte and stuff, so you guys can see not only how the shade compares, but also the finish of how these compare. And then once we get through all the swatches and comparisons, I will go ahead and jump into my final thoughts. So I will see you guys then. So we're going to go ahead and open these up. So this is what the packaging looks like. And then they have this squeeze tip. Maybe. There we go. Right away, I can say that these are good shades for contour. This would probably work for me as more of like a natural, but I'm going to use the medium tan, and ooh, it blends out really good too, you guys. I'm going to be using my absolute most favorite contour brush ever. This is my favorite brush for cream contour, cream bronzer. Like this brush, the way that it hugs the face is perfection. So I'm going to put just a dot like that and start blending it out. Okay, so I might need a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and build it up here. That might be too much, but we'll see. And when I apply cream contour, I always like to have my foundation brush handy to kind of tap out the edges. Okay, so I'm trying, okay, by the way, this is something I'm just noticing right off the bat. I'm trying to figure out if this, let me get the camera to focus on it. Come on, right there. See that little gap right there? I'm trying to see if this snaps down into place or screws into place to stop the product from gooping out. I keep screwing it and it doesn't close. So that might be a problem. If you're gonna squeeze the tube to put the lid on it, you're gonna squeeze product into the tip. So the design, I don't know that it's well thought out. Just be careful when you're screwing the cap back on, not to squeeze the tube. The one thing that I will say though, once the cap is screwed on, it doesn't squeeze into the tip. So just know that. It's a little different than what we're used to. Like the products from Charlotte Tilbury and Tarte and stuff, they have a screw tip. Like this screws into place, this cap where it screws into place. This one doesn't. But anyway, okay. So I'm going to put a little bit up here. Okay, that blends like a flippin' dream, you guys. Okay, so now I'm gonna go on this side. I will be honest, I kind of like that the tip is smaller and you don't get as much product out. So I do like that about this. I'm used to the Charlotte Tilbury one where the tip is bigger and sometimes when you squeeze it out into the tip, if you get a little bit too much, you know, it will come onto the sponge, whatever. But because this is smaller, I feel like I'm not having to worry so much about that. I want to see if I can build it up a little bit just for fun, just to kind of play around with this formula. And what I also like right away is that it's easy to blend and it doesn't dry too quickly. It gives you time to blend it out. And the reason why that's important especially is that when you're putting products like this on, a lot of people will do the dots like bam, 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 all over the face. And if the product dries too quickly, by the time you get to the end, you're going to have a struggle trying to get that to blend into the skin. But this doesn't dry too quickly. It gives you time to blend it out. And I think that looks amazing. It looks really natural. The color looks really good. So far, I really love this formula in the contour. We're going to move on to the blush. So this is Candlelit and this is Magic Hour. You can see they're quite shimmery and they have quite a lot of reflection to them. I don't know that they're going to work for everybody. Don't get me wrong. The ones from Charlotte Tilbury have that kind of shimmer effect, but I don't remember them being this strong. Let me put on one from Charlotte Tilbury. This one is Pink Gasm from Charlotte Tilbury. You can see the ones from e.l.f. So this is e.l.f. right here. And then this one is Charlotte Tilbury. You can see that the ones from e.l.f. have a little bit more of that reflection. So when I use my Charlotte Tilbury beauty wands, I like to use this brush. So this is the Heavenly Luxe foundation brush from IT Cosmetics. And there's just something about the way that this applies the Charlotte Tilbury product. It's like, it's a really nice application. So when I'm applying something like this, I typically like to grab this brush. So this is the brush I'm going to use. And I'm going to go in with Candlelight on this side. I'm going to start with that much and we're going to blend it out. Not Candlelight, Candlelit. Okay, so first of all, that doesn't really give me a lot of pigment, but it does give some reflection. That shade doesn't really show up on my complexion. It kind of blends into my complexion. It doesn't really have a lot of color to it. So if you're like medium skin tone, just kind of keep that in mind. So let's go in with Magic Hour on this side. I'm gonna wipe the brush off. Okay, so Magic Hour has more pigment, but yeah, these are super shimmery, you guys, and I don't really think they're very flattering on the skin. I gotta apply a little bit right there. And so far, I'm finding that these don't apply quite like the contour products do. So the other problem with a product that's kind of has that shimmering metallic finish, the more you layer, the more you're going to emphasize that, right? So you're going to bring out even more of a metallic-y type of look on the skin. So these type of products are not the best to layer on top of themselves. Maybe a product like this would work better underneath a blush, right? To kind of give you some shimmering effect on the skin. I don't know how they'd work over top of a powder blush, but let's see what it looks like. Let's see what it looks like with a powder blush over top. So I'm going to grab my Gucci blush in Silky Rose, which is a really beautiful, beautiful soft texture blush, and go over top of it and see if that not only helps to calm down some of the shine, but maybe it will be pretty underneath a powder blush, because so far right now, the way it is, like just them wearing them alone, I don't like it. So we'll see how it looks with a powder blush over top. And actually, powder blush kind of calmed down some of that shine and gave it some color. I still don't love it, but I think it's better. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the two final products, which are the highlighters. So this is Liquid Gold, and this is Champagne Campaign. Oh, that's a terrible name. I'm just saying. That's a terrible name. Okay. But that gold looks really pretty because it's not too dark. It's not too gold. It's not too yellow. It's not too orange. It seems like it's got a really pretty undertone to it, which makes me excited about it. Because as I'm blending it, I actually really like the color of that. I'm going to go ahead and put the liquid gold on this side. So I'm going to go right here. Here's the thing. It's really pretty and it's not too much, but you can see where it's sitting on the skin right there, right? Like you can see it. So because of that, this might be one of those highlighters that would be best applied under blush, putting on your blush over top of it. That might be the best way to apply it, but I really like the color. It just, you can see it sitting over the top of the blush like that. And that's not really my favorite, but. And why is that not blending out? Okay, so I don't know if the sponge just doesn't like this product or what, but. Okay, the brush actually works a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit here. It's such a pretty color. It really is. I just think this formula likes a brush better, but I'm going to put a little bit of this right here. Oh. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's a little bit overboard, but I'm going to put a little bit here on my eyelids or eyebrows, whatever. And I'm using the Champagne Campaign. And I like using my middle finger to blend stuff like this out because it has the most pressure. Okay, so that's it for the application of these products. I'm going to go ahead and go off camera, finish the rest of my makeup. We're going to go ahead and jump into the swatches. And I'm going to swatch all 6 of these and compare them to other products that I have in my collection that are comparable to the texture, the formula, the application, all of that. And then once we get through the swatches and comparisons, I will come back and we will jump into my final thoughts. So I will see you guys then. made it through those swatches and comparisons. I do hope that they were helpful. Let's go ahead and jump into my final thoughts. I'm going to first start with the contour. I really like these. They're not as pigmented as the ones from Charlotte Tilbury and the ones from Tarte. It seems like you have more control, and you might have to build this a little bit more than you do the ones from Tarte and Charlotte Tilbury. If you're looking for a really good alternative to the Charlotte Tilbury contour ones or the ones from Tarte, and you're wanting to save some money, this is a really nice option. The formula blends really nicely. However, on the flip side of that, will I use this instead of the ones from Charlotte Tilbury? No, because I had to build this up quite a bit, and I still really can't see it now. Like, it's faded over the last few hours. So I think you just have to kind of know going into it that you might have to use quite a bit of it, or I would go with a darker shade than you expect to use. And with the Charlotte Tilbury contour wand, you do have to be quite careful with how much you apply because it's quite crazy pigmented. And I just think that these are not quite as pigmented, which you might end up needing to use more. And then I don't know if that's really going to save you money, but they're still $9 each, so it might at the end of the day. So I don't think this is a terrible formula. But I don't feel like it's a full dupe for the Hollywood contour wands from Charlotte, just because I don't feel like the formula is quite as good as the ones from Charlotte Tilbury. But again, if you're looking for a more affordable option, these are something definitely to consider. That's just my opinion. Now, when it comes to the blush wands, I don't really love these. These are not my favorite for multiple reasons. Like I mentioned in the application, number one, they've got a lot of shimmer base to them. In my opinion, they're a little bit too metallic-y, too shimmery for the cheek, especially if you have enlarged pores, wrinkles, texture, stuff like that. This formula will emphasize the heck out of it. So kind of know that going into it. But going over top of it with a powder blush did help. It did. It kind of calmed down that emphasis of that metallic finish. Now, don't get me wrong. The blush wands from Charlotte Tilbury and Tarte are shimmery. As you saw in the swatches, they're quite shimmery. However, the difference, in my opinion, is that the ones from Charlotte Tilbury and Tarte have more pigment. So it's in these two shades. Now, I don't know about the other shades. This is just based on Candlelit and Magic Hour, the two shades that I have. There's not a lot of pigment. They're not either dark enough or bright enough or something. And so it just looks like a shimmer on your face with no color. So the ones from Charlotte Tilbury and Tarte, they have that pigment base to them. They have that color to them. And so that's kind of the difference. If you're someone that doesn't like to emphasize your pores or like orange peel or texture or something on your cheek, I don't know that I would recommend the ones from Charlotte Tilbury and Tarte. Either one of those, right? But if you do like the Charlotte Tilbury formula and the ones from Tarte, I don't know that these from e.l.f. will hold up and meet that same expectation. Now, the highlighter, the one thing that I will mention that you may or may not have noticed in the comparisons, the ones from e.l.f. are a little bit more, they have those glitter particles in them versus the highlighter ones from Charlotte Tilbury have more of that pearlized shimmer effect. So the ones from e.l.f. definitely have that pearlized effect, but they have glitter. And I know a lot of people don't really like that glittery look on the skin. So if you're someone that doesn't like that glitter base or that glitter look, you may not like this formula from e.l.f. because as I compared and was swatching them, I could definitely see that there are definitely a lot more glitter particles in the e.l.f. formula than there are in the highlighter ones from Charlotte Tilbury. So overall, I don't really feel like these products are dupes for Charlotte Tilbury and the nude product from Tarte. I just don't feel that way. But the contour one is definitely a nice alternative. But in my personal opinion, that's as far as I would go when it comes to these. I don't know that I would ever buy the blush wands or the highlighter wands again. That's just my opinion. But on the flip side of that, you guys, I'm still absolutely loving this liquid halo glow filter, and I find myself using it over the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Falls filter. So e.l.f. does have really nice dupeable products in their line. I just didn't feel like these met that standard. I just didn't feel like they really knocked it out of the ballpark, right? So that's just my thoughts. Sound off down below. How many of you guys have picked up these products from e.l.f. and what has been your experience? That's it for today's video. Thank you guys again for hanging out with me. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys all in my next video. Love you. Bye.